If you'd like to work along with me at home, open the Project Files folder, Lesson 6 folder, and then Modifying a Workbook. If you're following along in order with these videos, then this workbook's already open from the previous exercise on formatting worksheet tabs. If that's the case, please close the workbook without saving any changes, and then just reopen it again so we have a nice clean tapestry on which to paint. Okay, so this lesson then is going to be about how to reposition worksheets in a workbook. There's a really easy way to do that. All you have to do is grab the Sheet tab and drag it. Now watch what happens when I drag this across. I have the left mouse button held down, and as I move it from left to right, you'll see a little black dot appear indicating where this is going to go when I release the mouse. That looks like a good spot. I'll just release the mouse, and Sheet 1 suddenly falls into place. Now I said that was the easiest way to do it, but certainly not the only way to do it. We could use the Move or Copy dialog box to do the same thing. Let's right-click on Sheet 1 and choose Move or Copy. And then we're going to take that same Sheet 1 and put it back where we got it. To do that, we have to be able to read this dialog box. So we'll start at the top, and it says Move Selected Sheets. Well, the selected sheet is Sheet 1. We can tell by looking at it, it's the only white one in the group. So move Sheet 1 to, and then we're staying in the same workbook, Modifying a Workbook. And then where do we want to put it? Well, let's put it before Sheet 2. That means to the left of Sheet 2. Now, we don't want to make a copy of it. We just actually want to take what we have and move it. So just click OK. And then suddenly it ends up clear over on the left again. All right, let's pull this back over to the right again. Just position that right there. And this time we're going to use Move or Copy. Right-click, Move or Copy. And we're going to do the same thing, except we're going to tell it to create a copy of this. It's going into the Modifying a Workbook workbook before Sheet 2, to the left of Sheet 2, and we're creating a copy. Now when you click OK, we get a Sheet 1 with a 2 in parentheses indicating that this is a copy of this one. Okay, let's clean this up a little bit. We're going to delete this Sheet 1 with the 2 in parentheses. Right-click on it and choose Delete. Confirm your decision, and then drag Sheet 1 back into position, clear over to the left of Sheet 2. Now for this next part, we need to open another workbook. Leave this one open, but go up to the File tab, click Open, and then navigate to wherever you have your project files stored. Mine's on the desktop, so I'll open Project Files, and then open the Lesson 6 folder, and then open Target Workbook. I know, haha, very funny. But there's nothing else in this workbook to look at. I've turned off the grid lines, I put this little picture in here, and I just wanted a workbook in which to copy something from the other workbook. That's what we're going to do. This is the Target Workbook. This is where we're going to copy Sheet 1 from the other workbook. Well, how do we get back to it? One way to do that would be to go to the View tab, and in the Window group, click the Switch Windows button, and then click Modifying a Workbook. That brings it to the front. This is now sitting on top of the Target Workbook. So our mission now is going to be to take Sheet 1, make a copy of it, and paste that copy into the Target Workbook. So we'll right-click on Sheet 1, choose Move or Copy. This time we want to say Move the selected sheets to, and we click the drop-down arrow, and there are the 2 workbooks we have open. We're going to choose the Target Workbook. Now I should mention that there's no browse option here. You can't go looking for a closed workbook. You have to use one that's already open. So Target Workbook is open, and then we want to make sure that we choose Create a Copy. Otherwise it'll just pluck Sheet 1 out of this workbook and put it in the other one. I don't want to do that. I want to make a copy of it so that it exists in both places. Okay, the other thing we'll do then is just tell it to move it to the end. This means it'll copy Sheet 1 into the Target Workbook and then place it after the original sheet or to the right of the original sheet. Here we go. Click OK. And now we are back in the Target Workbook, because as soon as you click OK, it brings the Target Workbook to the front. You can look in the title bar to make sure you're in the right place. Another way to tell is that here's our original worksheet right here. And here's the copy we just made. I know, pretty cool, right? This is a great way to move things between workbooks. Now, one more thing to show you with this. I'm going to close the Target Workbook, and you can do the same. Don't bother to save the changes. We're now back in the Modifying a Workbook workbook. Again, check the title bar. Always make sure you know what you're working with. Here we have our 3 worksheets. What I want to do now is take sheet 1 and copy it into a brand new workbook that doesn't even exist yet. All right, we're going to right click on sheet 1, choose Move or Copy, and then again, I want to create a copy of this. I don't want to just move it, but now I'm going to say put it in a new book. Now the new book doesn't have any worksheets yet, so we don't see anything listed here. When we're finished, sheet 1 from this workbook is going to be the only sheet in the new workbook. Click OK, and now we are in the new workbook. Check the title bar. Yours might say Book 1, Book 3. It doesn't matter. The point is we're in a brand new workbook, and it has one worksheet, and that's the sheet that we just copied over there. And as I'm so fond of saying, even though I've shown you lots of ways to do things, find one that you really like, and then just practice that and stick to it. Don't get overwhelmed with all the details. See you in the next video.